two. 1, 2. I need Eric. I need you to check that mic again. That sounded really good, man. It sounded like you were ahead of that small song. Remember that victory song that Diddy did where Biggie was talking for like 3 minutes before the track hits? It's like, turn my mic up. Beat's fine, but I can't hear my vocals. Turn me the fuck up. Like that's what it sounded like, man. You sound like you're ready to go on an NBA less Monday, Eric Lindquist. This is Drew Harsh's best hour of his day. Are you here to disappoint?
No, I'm here to carry. I just have no idea what just occurred with you, but it was one of those things where sometimes Eytan does these opens that can't be beat, that you must just admire, that you must just sit back and be like, man, I thought I was a crazy person. And then you meet a crazier person and you're no longer the crazy person. It's beautiful. It's a good feeling. Why the hell do we have a graph of the NFL behind you?
I don't know. I need to change that. I appreciate that. I
was just curious.
I'm glad you took that personal. It's like the Jordan me.
I took that personally.
Exactly right. You did.
Sure did.
Hey, what are you most excited about? I'm just curious. Let's get inside. You tell me I'm crazy. Nobody here on the chat, nobody on the show has already hit the thumbs up button and beyond is going to argue with that. Let's get inside the mind of Lindy. All right. Behind the lens of Lindy. That would be the segment right there. You give me one and only one thing from Monday to Monday. Okay. So that's it. Like today is Monday, April 3rd. What is the one thing from Monday, April 3rd through Monday or until Monday, April 10th that you are most excited about in the world of sports?
I mean, it's hard to not say the NCAA National Championship, even though I have 0 bets on it currently. I would say that that's the one that's going to be fun to watch. UConn I had in the finals. It was the only one of the Elite 8 teams that I got correct to begin with. I had UConn and Duke in the finals, like an absolute dunce cap. So lots of parity, lots of crazy things in the NCAA tournament. San Diego State is playing for an NCAA title in basketball right now without Kawhi Leonard. I mean, if this was 11 years ago, we could have that conversation, but they don't have any NBA prospects on that basketball team. And they are playing against a UConn team that looks pretty good right now. So just intrigued to watch that. Otherwise, it's Nestor Cortez going up against your Phillies. That's probably the other thing I'm excited about.
Not the Masters, like not a golf tournament, by the way.
You said Monday night until tomorrow.
No, I said Monday to Monday. This is
no shit, Masters. Duh.
Yeah, I was actually setting you up for a softball, and here you are breaking down UConn. I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm crazy. Wait a second. I just threw you an EFIS softball to break into the Masters.
Well, you know what's weird is that, let's see, who did I have winning the WGC match play? Oh, Sam Burns. That's who I had. Who did I have winning last week at the Valero? Oh, that Corey Connors. So that's back-to-back, 42-1, 22-1. Can he run it back? Can I go 3 in a row? Can I go 3 in a row on the betting card? That would be intriguing. Oh, thanks.
Because you're going to go John Rahm or Rory.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. My card started with Jordan Spieth, which makes me want to vomit.
Well, that's how I know you're not going to win. But I'm glad. Thank you for the last 2 weeks here. The value that's gone. Well, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Masters. We'll talk about the other elements here of the college basketball game tonight, the National Basketball Championship that will be played. But we do have a lot of baseball. You mentioned, unfortunately, Nestor Cortez going up against my Phillies. Curious to see what the market is saying right now in the OddsShopper Premium tool. Then we'll kind of dive a little deeper into this crazy world of sports that we have. But last I checked, Aaron Judge under 1.5. That was one that kind of jumped out at me. Aaron Judge under 1.5 total bases. It's still at -103 on Bet Rivers or Sugar House, what have you. So that's going to be the best price. It's beating the market in a couple of spots. But interesting, right? Because you think, okay, Aaron Judge, the Phillies suck, and you've got a team that's just been rough. Even though in good pitching at times, it still hasn't worked out. Judge should eat up. I don't know what they're going to throw. I think they'll probably just walk Judge as much as they've had some problems here. Not a brutal pitcher by any means, but under 1.5 total bases is one of our top bets on the market right now.
Yeah, I mean, everything that's positive for Aaron Judge is going to be inflated. I was kind of lamenting this over the weekend in the premium Discord. I can't believe how bad the home run market is to begin this season. It is so horrendous. There is no value to be found anywhere. Last year with Aaron Judge, we were able to ride it from the mid plus 200s into this form where now, I mean, everything is inflated in terms of overs, and people still bet them. So I can't really blame books for necessarily putting to this spot, but there's now definite value in taking under on some of these bases. I haven't pulled the trigger on probably as many as I should have over the weekend. Part of it is there were so many games. You're going through that feeling it out situation. Now we're getting to the fourth and fifth starters for these ball clubs. And, Taijuan Walker, by no means is he a good pitcher. He is definitely your back end starter for the Phillies, but 1.5. Everybody wants the overs. Everybody sees Taijuan Walker giving up power to righties, just a 20% K rate. And if you don't miss bats against the Yankees, you're probably running into problems. But I think I actually agree with that one. It's a very uncomfortable click. There's no doubt about it. But minus 103, pretty tough to beat that.
Well, exactly right. And that's what our tool does without getting too deep into it. If you're new to the show, et cetera, the tool is just finding the best price out there and showing you that it's beating the market for a plus X ROI. But deeper in that is it has to make sense. Like, just because it pops doesn't mean that you have to bet it by any means. It has to make sense to an extent. I just, again, as we talked about, I just don't know what he's going to see. And you're right. The Phillies paid money, not a lot of money, but they paid money for this guy to essentially be their fourth arm, because Bailey Falter is going to rotate up and down. Now, again, it depends on how shitty things get for Aaron Nola and company and how desperate it gets. But that was a big name that popped out. Was there anything else before we get into just specifics here? Ks and total bases seem to be where our tool is truly identifying some value. So you mentioned a lot of unders, right? Unders, and that's what you're going to get with a guy like Ryan Feltner. Looks like Hunter Brown is fine.
That's my dude.
Healthy, right?
It's my dude. I am very heavy on the over of strikeouts here for Hunter Brown. This is a guy who kind of got steamed up. He got steamed up pretty hard at the end of, towards the end of drafting. If you play season long, if you're in year long fantasy baseball, Hunter Brown did not go underlooked by any means. This guy has whatever it is. He's a guy who's going to throw an upper 90s fastball, brings in this curve that just, I don't know. And then this slider that kind of moves away in the other direction. He doesn't throw that as much, but he is an absolute stud. And he's going to join the likes of Luis Garcia. He's going to join the likes of Framber Valdez. I mean, he could end up being the best pitcher for this entire rotation going forward. I believe in Hunter Brown that much. Kind of came out of nowhere. He was an unheralded 5th round prospect back in 2019, but you look at everything he did in AAA, you look at everything last year in very limited sample size, just 309 pitches at the big league level, but he did not disappoint. Ground ball, only a 2.9 degree launch angle, average between here and AAA. I am in love with this guy against the Tigers.
Well, that's the big thing too, is Detroit came out and did not disappoint in how miserable they are right away. Nothing's going to change. It wasn't like it was circumstantial in their first 3 games. All of a sudden now it changes going up against Brown. I think the only concern earlier was that he was pitching through a P tag, but that seems to have been removed. So there's no real concern about depth and how far he'll go into the game. And again, you go back to just the matchup itself. Would it shock you if he had 4 Ks through 3 innings? Probably not at this point. So
no, we just saw 12 come down the pipeline. Obviously different hands, but Jeffrey Springs, you could be my Jeffrey Springs, just ran a train. It was incredible, man. It was just
down. Oh my God. AOD. Love you. And showing love to everybody.
What's up, my dude?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So those are what's popping. We'll give you the free week. That's there. By all means, that doesn't change for us. We do have a ton of baseball. I know you got in like I did. We both got in, by the way, in the Peralta case. So shout out to the Discord if you're in on that. So we've got some early baseball afternoon stuff at the very least to sweat before we get into this college game. There wasn't a ton that really jumped out outside from a side or total. I did go over that game in Seattle. 7 was where I got it. It just looked like we can start expecting some runs in a game like that.
Yeah, I think that's a fine spot. For me, I ended up on Milwaukee money line. I think that one's going to come through for me. That was awfully fun to witness. Congrats. A first career homer, hitting a grand slam out of there. That's got to feel good for Mr. Terang. So nice stuff there. Terang. That's an 80s joke for you.
From the original Gun Clappers, right? No, not Starang.
Nope. That one. That one's a real big stretch for me to pick
out. That's a deep cut for any fans of Brooklyn hip hop. But that's sorry. Let's keep going.
All right. I really like this is where it's going to get disgusting. So one of my other big stands of the day is Pittsburgh plus 1.5. So just run line in general. You want to talk about a side for it? You saw the Red Sox put up 9 runs every single time out. It was a pretty massive offensive display against Baltimore. Guess what Baltimore doesn't really have? A starting rotation. I think I was a little bit trepidatious of it coming in, rightfully so. And Kyle Bradish today, we'll talk about him perhaps a little bit later as well. But I'm looking at this Boston spot, and they used up the bullpen quite a bit the last 3 days, kind of had to when you're giving up, 10 runs to Baltimore on the other side in spots. But Johan Oviedo looked good. He only had 5 starts towards the end of last year. He was a reliever for St. Louis, came over, found ways to be successful right out of the gate. 321 expected slugging, 208 expected batting average, limited hard hit. And those 5 starts gave up just 7 earned at the end of last year. I don't have a lot to draw off of him, but I'm willing to accept as much risk as possible, plus 1.5 when I'm going up against Cutter Crawford, who I do not believe in. I know that there's a lot of people in the fantasy space and other places in the betting space that just love Cutter Crawford, and I don't understand it in any way, shape, or form. He hasn't shown anything at the big league level, and we have a far greater sample size for him than we have for Oviedo. So, I'll take the devil that I don't know over the one that I do. And Cutter Crawford, there is a 0% chance I won't be targeting him right out of the gate this year.
No, actually, we moved it over to the MLB version of the 5-5 this morning, and that was a total that I dared go over as a result of fading Cutter Crawford and basically presenting a lot. And look, I didn't have the stones like you, although it's definitely based in reason here to just play Pittsburgh. But I don't know, maybe people stay away from that because it's 9.5. New rules, offense, Fenway, all of that aside, you've got a guy in Crawford who can hand that game over in the 3rd or 4th by that point. So I'm with you. I don't think it's as crazy of a play as you think, especially as you laid it out. I also think to a lesser extent, the total going over is going to help correlate that as well if you're fading someone like Crawford. By the way, Giants up 4-0 right now in the other game. So
Conforto just went yard. A lot of lefty power that you're going to see. That I'm so glad I stayed away from that game because there was a part of me that really wanted to just say, I want to be early to the party if we're going to see any kind of resurgence there for Kopech. We're seeing issues with lefties. We're seeing massive issues. Jock Peterson yard, Michael Conforto yard, both of those over 400 feet shots. You're seeing Kopech hit 97. That's an exciting fact. So I think that bodes well because he was only hitting he was hitting just below 95 during spring training. I imagined that they weren't trying to have him just go out there and gas himself out. But if the ball's not moving, there's a lot of lefties in that San Francisco lineup that can hit 97 flat.
Looks like Estrada. Oh, yeah. So Estrada as well. I mean, this has just been a pounding here today for that by all means. All right, we got Ryan Lutton wants the same game parlay. We'll cook something up for that Phillies game now that we've got Eric here. We have a lot of shit to talk about, though, right? We have the PGA to look at, Masters. We have college basketball tonight. We'll keep going back to the market, see what it says. We have to build a parlay. The parlay builder is in effect tonight with baseball. So you can definitely get in there and build a bunch. Just because the NBA is out doesn't mean that we can't build something on the parlay tool. So we'll have to get into that. Maybe a K ladder if you're interested, by all means, because a lot of unders are popping.
Hunter Brown.
Yeah, that exactly. I mean, that's the guy that I was thinking about. Actually, you know what? I'm curious. What does it look like? Because 5.5 is going to be a baseline here for Hunter Brown, right? So let's just look. What does it look like? What does this ladder look like here?
I'm pulling it up on FanDuel right now. I'm going to take a look there if you want to pull up DK as well. I think that's kind of the ones that, most people have access to. So you want to make sure, because we're looking at some of the ladders that are alternate numbers that don't necessarily update directly to OddsShopper, that we kind of take a look at what they are for both situations here. So you
want to go over 5.5, not 6+. 6+ is -120 on FanDuel versus the over 5.5, which is -118. So that might be different, as you mentioned, on DraftKings or another book, but that's basically where you start. 7+ is 180, right? 8+ 350.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. Like, we just saw Springs mow down 12 times the Detroit lineup here. He's young. I mean, there's no real need to pull him, right? Like, I'm trying to reason how I can get 7 innings from Hunter Brown.
You're not getting 7 out of him. That would be wild to me.
Exactly. So let's work in reverse. Okay. What can I know I can get 5 from Brown today.
Yeah.
8 Ks in 5 innings is a ridiculous ask, even though Brown is capable of doing it.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you look at what you would expect this lineup to be as I'm putting in a lot of the Ks there. I mean, you're going to see like a Jake Rogers, Ryan Kreidler, guys that you've never heard of that had Mike Yastrzemski just went yard now too. My God, poor Kopech. But Spencer Torkelson, terrible. Even though he didn't strike out really in Tampa for the opening weekend. Riley Green at the top of that lineup. He was batting 2 throughout there. I mean, we're talking about guys that have K rates. I mean, we saw a 33% K rate for Riley Green last year, now batting second. Javi Baez always had a K rate throughout his entire career. There are a lot of Ks early on in this lineup, and that's what really kind of matters to me when you're talking about trying to ladder somebody up. I think people maybe overvalue the back end of lineups because if in an ideal world, you want to see more than 18 batters, right? You want to be starting that third time through the lineup. Those are generally the most potent hitters. Managers are thinking about pulling them there in some of those spots. But I see strikeouts at the top of this Detroit lineup. That's the key for me. I think I'm looking at FanDuel 7+ plus 180, 8+ plus 350. 9 maybe pushing it a little bit plus 750, but you could do something where you're putting like a quarter unit on that. I've started to experiment more with it was more towards the tail end of last year where I started doing some strikeout ladders on things. I think you inspired me to greatness in some spots, but I think plus 180, 7+, and then the 8, that's really asking for a lot, but I think I might go quarter unit and fire that one up too.
All right, I'm going to ask you to meet me 3/4 of the way there because I'm with you on 7+. I can get to 7+, but I think instead of dropping that quarter unit, what have you, on 8+ Ks, what I'd rather do is go Hunter Brown 7+ Astros to win at plus 250. Now, I don't know if that necessarily correlates and grades out to what the actual thing is on here, but I feel like that is more of I can attain that than the 8K. The 8K will be glorious if he gets it and when he gets it. But you're asking a lot, man. A lot.
It's asking a lot right now. I suppose. Oh my God. Did he just go yard again off Kopech?
You're watching. I'm not.
Oh my God. No, I mean, it just like home run alert, home run alert, home run alert. Yeah. VR just went yard now too. Oh, poor guy. That's 7 earned. Thanks for coming.
The other guy that I wanted to touch on here so Hunter Brown is out there. All right. So you can ladder away on Hunter Brown. The other guy that's popping, and look, the matchup doesn't necessarily scream, or maybe it's the pitcher that doesn't necessarily scream this, but the market definitely says that going over 4.5 Ks for Tyler Mahle against the Marlins tonight makes sense. The question now, Eric Lindquist, is how greedy can we get in pushing this for this Marlins game where I think just depth or distance in this game is going to be a little bit more important to me than the matchup against the Marlins. I don't necessarily stray away from this play. Like 5 Ks is fine, right? That gets us at minus 130 is 5 Ks. Can 7 Ks at plus 340? That number looks fantastic, but that seems impossible tonight.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me. Tyler Mahle, he had some shoulder issues towards the end of last year. The Minnesota Twins, they're my team for those who don't know. He had some shoulder issues, got shut down at the end of last year. They gave him a lot of rest coming into spring training, tried to get him going with this shoulder deal. Sounds like he's feeling good, even though he got lit up. I'm not trying to think about it too much there, but in terms of racking up Ks, I think Miami is going to be a tough one to get a gauge for because Luis Arraez used to be with the Minnesota Twins. He does not strike out whatsoever. One of the best contact numbers and contact profiles from AAA you'll ever seen, and he brought it right into the bigs. Yeah. He's never had a K rate above 10% in his entire major league career, which is like unheard of in modern baseball. So Luis Arraez, that's a tough one just to be starting off that order, knowing that he's there. You're probably not getting a K there in any way, shape, or form. And then it does fall off a little bit. Jazz Chisholm batting clean up there. He's got some Ks. Garrett Cooper, Jorge Soler, everybody there on the back half of the lineup has routinely struck out for the Marlins, being like Brian De La Cruz, Jacob Stallings, former Pirate. Lots of guys that have Ks there, but it's such a tough ask for a guy who hasn't been hitting the kind of velocity that you would want to be seeing to be able to rack up the Ks. Can be a serviceable pitcher, no doubt, but I doubt he gets a ton of work here.
All right, so a couple of other things here. The BetMGM thing, we'll find that. We'll track that down. I took advantage of it earlier in the day, so I can't find it now, of course, right? Because once you jump on a promo, it's gone. It won't show you up on that. But BetMGM, if you do have that, you should take full advantage of it. We have links below to get you up on that. But there's a 25% profit boost on BetMGM. So this doesn't need to count as like the promo page or anything like that, Mike. I don't want you, blowing your gasket or like, oh my God, we're going to do that later. This is just conversation with baseball before we look at some other stuff real quick. But there's a 25% profit boost on any solo play. So you can go across the board right now and you can boost whatever you want. It's not a bad bet, meaning whenever you see like 3 or 4 legs prepared for you by the book, that's the shit you want to stay away from. But if you have one single play that can be boosted, it's now plus EV. So there's no wrong answer to this by any means, but I am curious. As I mentioned, I already told you what I did earlier. I boosted that over 7 Seattle game to plus 133. Maybe it's something you brought up already. Maybe it's Weather's going over 3.5 Ks, which it probably isn't. What would be your one boost on BetMGM besides the over 7? I already claimed that.
All right, I'll take Kansas City money line.
Ah, nice.
How does that sound?
Okay, I like it.
Yeah, so Brady Singer going up against Jose Barrios here in this spot. Jose Barrios, I have never believed was an elite pitcher. He started to find some type of form towards the end of last year, but it took him a long time to find anything there. The Ks fell off a cliff, sub 20% in that regard. 466 expected slugging last year, 43.8% hard hit. And Kansas City, maybe Minnesota just has the bullpen between Lopez, who they got from Baltimore last year, getting down towards the end. I've never felt good about Matten, but number of pieces from Minnesota. They only gave up three runs to Kansas City over the course of the weekend. Toronto does not have that bullpen behind them, and Jose Barrios is a starter I want to target, and I think Brady Singer has a chance to maybe make another jump this year. He had a 24.2% K rate last year, sub 400 expected slugging, made a lot of improvements to his arsenal, showed up. He went from a 4.91 ERA in 2021 down to 3.23. The expected ERA came down along with it. Everything looks good across the board for Brady Singer to maybe make a jump. He was a heralded prospect back in the day, first rounder 2018 for Kansas City. Big 6'5" guy, doesn't really throw a 6'5" type fastball. It's sitting below 95, but for the most part, Toronto, you're always getting these inflated odds going up against them with bad pitchers on the mound there because of how good their lineup is. So I will embrace the risk and the volatility. Give me 25% boost on Kansas City money line.
There you go. You got 2 options to choose from. Go ahead, pound away. There were boosts available on FanDuel for college basketball. There was a 50% boost on this game tonight.
Ooh.
I do want to get to that. I want to get your thoughts on some other stuff with the Masters because we just did putting for dough. And I'm going to win money this week simply because of osmosis, digital osmosis. I sat down next to Ben Raza, like I'm sitting down next to you, and he just exudes money. It's amazing, this man. But with that said, somebody in the chat asked us, and again, you hit us up. I know there's no NBA tonight. By all means, we'll talk some basketball. But somebody asked us to build a same-game parlay in the Phillies. Who am I to say no, Eric?
Oh, my God, of course.
Right? This is a bad game. All right, so let me
start.
Yeah, well, yeah. For the Yankees, it's a great game. Let me start, okay? I'll just throw one leg in there, and we'll just build. Do you want to cap this first and foremost? Like, are you a capper? Not a capper, but like somebody who caps shit in the sense of like, I don't want to go more than 3 or 4 or 10 legs. Like, what's your cap? No cap.
I rarely parlay anything unless it's, like a PrizePicks or something of that nature. So no, I have no cap. We can get as wild as you want.
Do you say no cap when you mean I'm not lying?
Don't be capping. No, we're good.
What's the most ridiculous slang that you've ever used? Like, what's the most ridiculous word or phrase that is used by cool people that you caught yourself saying, like, I shouldn't be saying that? I don't mean offensive or anything like that. I just mean like you catch yourself saying, you know what? Michael Jordan's better than LeBron, no cap. And you're like, you know what, man? I'm not cool enough to say no cap.
No, I would never say no cap because immediately I would be getting looks left, right, everywhere. My go-to, it's always been like kind of the thing, you playing pickup basketball with the guys in LA. I was on an intramural, like an inner city team that I played with for a while, and I was the only white guy that was on the team. And it would always be a joke around where it was like Eminem. They would call me Eminem, and then it became Ginobili, even though I'm not left-handed, so it never made sense to me, but I didn't correct them. So I just became Ginobili because, that's how I kind of play basketball. But it became something where my bit was I would always just say rap lyrics, but I would say it very, very proper. So it's like, his palms are sweaty. His knees are weak. His arms are heavy. There's vomit on his sweater already. Mom's spaghetti. He's nervous. But on the surface, he looked calm and ready to drop bombs. But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crowd goes so loud. He opens his mouth, but the words will not come out. Stuff like that. And they would just find that hilarious.
That long, or did you splice it? Like, you didn't sit that long and say that one verse. Nobody's going to sit through that without saying something, right?
Hate it or love it, the underdog's on top. And I'm going to shine, homie, until my heart stops. Go ahead, envy me. I'm Rap's MVP. You ain't going nowhere, so you can get to know me.
Well, I'd rather you quote the game than Eminem personally, so I don't have any problem with that. But
there you go. Game. Like I told Dre from the gate I'd carry the heat for you for first mixtape solo. Got inherited before you. Credit my G for you. Put GGG for you. Put Compton on my back when he was in need of soldiers.
Yeah. I don't know. I could see the novelty of this wearing off fast on the court.
Yeah, for you. I thought it was hilarious.
For how long? Like how long did you get through this? Right? Like, they probably thought you were hilarious because you said other funny shit.
Well, yeah, it was enjoyable. It was a good time. It was fun. And then we had bad officiating one game. Somebody got really, really mad, and we got out of there. That was fine. It was a little bit like White Man Can't Jump. A little bit of that.
Did Raymond go out there and get his other gun?
No, you just got really, really mad, and I was like, I probably should not be here. Brian Scalabrine, that's hilarious too. No cap.
He's actually pretty funny on the morning show on Sirius, by all means. That Raymond scene is iconic. Absolutely incredible. Iconic. I don't know. Like, seriously, if you look at that movie in its own right, and you were only looking at one scene, if somebody said, "All right, White Man Can't Jump," give me one scene to watch for White Man Can't Jump that would best represent that movie in its own right, like in a nutshell. So now you can only choose one, right? This is like our community poll, which we'll get to in a second. 10 minutes left, I'm told, by Mike to vote on that. But think about this. This is an iconic movie. There's no NBA tonight. We'll talk a little hoops, right? What's the one scene? I know what it is already. What's the one scene that best represents White Man Can't? Actually, there are two that I think you could look at. But what would be it?
Well, I mean, obviously, when they're playing hoops in Venice, right off the get-go, gets beat down and then kind of flips it. That'd be one. Rosie Perez post-winning Jeopardy and having the conversation. Like, I just love their fighting throughout that entire movie. Maybe that makes me a little messed up, but like, I don't know. I felt that in a very visceral way. I think I go for the very strong, the strong-willed. I'll put it that way. Strong women life. I think that's kind of what I go for. And so watching Rosie Perez, like there was a very real thing that happened where I'm like, oh, this is like, I would have been like 8 or 9 watching that movie being like, oh, she's the most gorgeous person I've ever seen in my life. Yeah.
So which one is it? Just the which Rosie Perez, the post Jeopardy one?
Post Jeopardy breaks up with him. He said he was going to quit. He doesn't quit. That's what I'm going with.
So the one that I was thinking of as like my runner up is actually the hook shot that he hits in order to set her up on Jeopardy. The one that gets her on, the one that she never knows, right? Like that truly encompasses, I think, the depth of their relationship, which is they fight so much, they're so back and forth. It's a dynamic group, right? That they have back and forth with each other, but it's like this selfless act, and the way in which it happened. I mean, it's basketball. It's a ridiculous shot. Like he has that in his bag left and right, but he'll never get the credit for it. The one for me, though, that I think is the best, and I'm surprised, man, as a man of both film and music, you didn't go to this, but you can't hear Jimmy.
Oh,
like the Jimi Hendrix conversation is iconic in that movie. Come on.
Right. That's fair. That's fair. I was just thinking like the massive themes. I wasn't thinking like specificity. Because if you do that,
good. There's no,
because like Eric, you could do that with certain movies. Like for me, like the small bits of something from like an Almost Famous kind of like transcend the overarching themes of the movie. I think White Man Can't Jump, they have all these specific tiny little parts and scenes, but it's still like the overarching theme is like the racial sensitivity, the idea of like this dude who just shows up and, you know, he kind of like breaks into a culture where he wouldn't necessarily be accepted. And then, I mean, how good is that movie overall?
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. By the way, shout out to a couple on the chat. Yeah, FK, you, my friend, are aiming for the Sudan. So WS mentioned that the scene where he was trying to dunk, right? That's iconic.
But then he dunks at the end. So like, that's the thing is like, you can't.
No, I get it. But what about the, you know,
look how jacked Wesley Snipes is too. Like just jacked. He's like 2% body fat.
I mean, Kadeem Hardison has done a lot in his career, but he may, even A Different World, which is an amazing show, he may be best known for We Go in Sizzler, right?
Yep.
Oh, my. Oh, my. All right. Just curious. Blade. Now we're talking about some other stuff here.
We can talk about all the things. Blade underrated. Blade sucks. I didn't like Blade.
The intro to the first Blade is amazing. It is.
Yeah, there you go. And it was all downhill from there.
I thought the first movie was okay. All right. You're on like the 6th John Wick movie and you're chastising.
Oh, dude, John Wick 4. Have you seen it yet?
Sean?
Buddy. Don't talk. Also, they brought Boban into Wick 3. You can't besmirch the good name of Boban Marjanovic. Stop it.
Oh, I'm out on Boban. I am totally out on Boban.
Like shoves a pencil through Boban. It was hilarious.
I'm out. Like, I am out on this guy.
Dude. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm back. I'm here for all John Wick.
All right. Tonight I mentioned that. Oh, so let's build this here. All right. Yes. I'm gonna go. My first leg is going to be under 4.5 Taiwan Walker Ks.
Love it.
Okay. I was going to ask if you have any objection to this. My biggest reasoning here in going under, we just talked about this with Aaron Judge. Giancarlo Stanton hit a shot that I don't think has landed yesterday.
480 plus.
Insane right now. Walker is not a guy on an island that you say, all right, you're going to pitch around somebody, put him on the bag, and now you get out of the jam. I don't trust him in this spot, and unfortunately, he's going to be in that spot a couple of times in that top part of the lineup. So I just don't know if he's going to be out there long enough to get that 5th K. I don't think that there's going to be a streak here where we have to worry about, 2 of 3 outs coming with Ks. I'll go under 4.5 Ks to build the first leg. Let's go 3 legs on this. I'll go under 4.5.
I want to get really, really aggressive because I have a play from this game. I have a play from this game. He didn't homer over the weekend. What's the number for Anthony Rizzo home run on BetMGM?
The GOAT 09 is at, well, we're on FanDuel for this.
Oh, FanDuel for this? Okay, so I'm pulling up FanDuel. So, I mean, one of the nice things about OddsShopper is I just kind of put in this specific book. I go now, just change that to FanDuel.
By the way, the GOAT was all over that too on the chat, and he's one of ours in the Discord, so we got to give him a shout.
I brought it up last night on Lindy's Leans Likes Locks. Just wanted to make it very, very clear that I thought that he would be the one piece to hit a home run that we might actually have access to without like pulling out our teeth. Because again, the home run market has just turned into a little bit of a joke. What was it?
285 on FanDuel. That brings our same
That's
game
the worst number, period. I wouldn't want to do that there. He's plus 500 over on Caesars today.
Okay, so then we'll build the fucking thing on Caesars, all right?
No, we're not going to do that. I don't know.
Jeez, Jay Whiz. All right, we'll do it on Caesars.
Yeah, we'll do. Go into Caesars. Let's do that. You probably didn't get that. What movie that was from? Did you?
We're going to Caesars.
No, we're gonna just kill Caesar. Mean Girls.
The Meaning of Life. Monty Python.
Mean Girls.
Oh, why would I know that? Seriously, what about my life would indicate that I would get that quote? You know me long enough.
It was a shot in the dark.
Yeah, that's a total shot in the dark. You're better off playing the Blazers at 19.5 outright.
Don't talk about that ever again. Don't ever speak about that. I didn't play that. Thank God. Minnesota, the worst against the spread loss since 1995. Are you effing kidding me?
Insanity. Absolute insanity. All right, so I'm on Caesars. The Anthony Rizzo plus 500 because Eric. Now we have to pay a little more, mind you, on Taijuan Walker going under, and this is 4.5K. So what was it on FanDuel? Right, we talked about that on FanDuel. It was 5.5. Oh no, it's still 4.5.
But when you're getting plus 500 as opposed to plus 285, it's day and night.
I'm good with it. That's fine. So we're going to go under 4.5Ks for Walker. Our same game parlay is now plus 800. We need one more leg. All right, one more leg, and then we can break into the community parlay, talk a little college hoops. One more leg for this same game parlay tonight on Caesars. What do you think?
I mean, Yankees minus 1.5 has a little bit of correlation to everything there. Rizzo bomb. Yankees, again, the under for strikeouts. Walker gets blasted by some of by the specific lefty that you're actually worried about in that Yankees lineup. Now the Carpenters in San Diego, but yeah, I can't think of anything that's like crazy there. I think the under 4.5 makes the most sense. That's at the top of the board for us there.
What's the under 4.5?
Under 4.5 minus 110.
Under 4.5 what? Sorry.
Oh, strikeouts. That's the one you already had in. So I'm looking at like what I want to add.
35 on Caesars.
Yeah. So I was going to say we could probably go over 7.5 and find something there.
Over 7.5 total.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Plus 1,200.
There you go.
Lock it in.
How's that sound for a good 3-legger?
That's the sound of me hitting the keyboard and punching it in. Plus 1,200. Let's roll. I love that, by the way. And it's fully correlated. Nice. I don't think we get crushed on this by any means, but
yep. You're just sitting there waiting for Rizzo to go yard. That's the name of that we're looking for that.
Oh man, I love that. Okay. Beautiful.
Phillies 0-3. What a world.
Community parlays locked. All right, man. Better jump in now before this thing closes. It looks like we've given you options here. And it looks like UConn minus 7.5 has narrowly edged
chalk
San Diego State plus 7.5. What I'm really surprised about is the total. Nobody wants anything to do with the total. Now, we'll save that for the end, but the community's locked in, so we can talk about this. You're not going to influence. You're not going to go back and forth on anything. I know that the expectation with this game overall is that it's going to be low scoring, both teams, bigs. San Diego State swallows you. UConn loves to go big, and especially looking at their ability to score up front. But that also means fouls. That also means the clock slows down. And I think you're going to see some N1s. I think you're going to see some guys in trouble. I think you are going to see, and I hate to do it to you, brother, because Harambe Slayer is going the other way, but I actually leaned over 132. My favorite play, though, the one that I boosted on the one that I love the most was on BetMGM, and I just took 4.5 in the first half. So the community has spoken. UConn is on the parlay. I did not take that side. Instead, I took San Diego State plus 4.5 first half. They are only shot in staying with that UConn front court truly is going to be in the first half and trying to slow it down until they realize that they're going to have to match some buckets. So I like San Diego State plus 4.5 in the first half, and actually a higher scoring first half. And I would not hate somebody if they bet highest scoring half as the first half, not the second half, because I guarantee you're going to get that in plus money. So
interesting. Well, yeah, you're definitely getting plus money because foul situations towards the end of a game. Yeah. So, I mean, that's the reason if people are ever looking at specific quarters and you want to know, why is this different? Why is this one the highest? It's because of fouls and the game slows down.
By the way, it's 280 on a three-way. Unfortunately, that three-way is in there with the tie at plus 3,000, but that is first half plus 280. I wouldn't hate you if you put a quarter unit on that. All I'm saying, Lindy.
I think probably at this point, I wonder if you could even get any kind of good odds on this, though. I do think UConn probably blows the doors off of them based on what we've seen. I don't watch a lot of college basketball anymore, a little busy with other things at this point in time, but it used to be my favorite sport to watch and cover once upon a time, especially when I was a kid, growing up a Duke fan. Iowa State, when I was in school, we had some really good teams. The Royce White years, those were really, really fun. But I'm looking at UConn and Sanogo's just going to do whatever he wants. Newton at the guard spot. I feel pretty good about UConn going up against San Diego State. I'm probably with you where first half, I think San Diego State's going to have to try to pick it up at some point in time there. Yeah. I think Menz is probably the key to the entire game. Can he be effective on the glass in some way, shape, or form? If he can't, and they're going to have a tough day. He's really their only big that they have that could slow anybody down from UConn. It's going to be a fun game to watch, but I really have zero leans in it whatsoever.
No, I understand it. And there's nothing to force by any means here, right? So I think that you look at it overall in this game, maybe a team total, maybe something to that extent. But if you were just looking at a boost, for example, because FanDuel had that 50% boost that was available, the first half seems like a vulnerable spot for UConn, because I'm with you where ultimately Connecticut pulls away. It's just a matter of when. But I don't think that also correlates to a low scoring game either. So we already gave you that 25% boost on any MLB bet. You can look at that there for BetMGM. We'll get into the Masters in a second, but that parlay. All right, so look at that parlay. Bet the championship. I hate these where it's already prepared for you, right?
It's one of the things that irks me the most, because I'm always just like, oh God, if it's going to be this chalky, the numbers are getting worse and worse and worse and worse throughout the day. And if you get into it late, you're the donkey that probably at this point in time is just blindly playing the wrong thing.
Well, that's the thing where you get the data. And again, this is what's provided by the book, but I love where you're right. It's like 6:45 before a 7 p.m. Eastern tip. And you see the Kevin Hart or JJ Redick pre-approved.
19,000 people have already bet this parlay.
They're broadcasting the fact that they're not going to give 25,000 people $150,000 each. Like, they're telling you ahead of time.
It's unreal.
Unreal. My. Yeah, I don't have anything else. Look, if you are in a state, this is what I would say is we're going to give you a week free of our tool, the OddsShopper Premium tool. You can bet college basketball player props. I'm in Pennsylvania. I cannot bet those legally, but in New Jersey, and Greg Ehrenberg is in Jersey, and he has been posting these on Twitter, and you can see the positive results on this. But if you live in a state where you can legally bet college basketball player props, much like you do a lot with PrizePicks, I know when that pops to you, but it's amazing how beatable these are. So just head to the tool. Again, you can sign up like, oh shit, wait a second, I live in Jersey or wherever I live, that I can bet college basketball player props. Tonight is the last night to do it. And I guarantee you there's going to be some opportunity to attack that market by all means. So just wanted to throw that out there for anybody.
Yeah, I think I'm going to piece a couple together. I'm looking at PrizePicks right now. I think it's going to be pretty easy to go to Sanogo, who I talked about. He's a go. Sanogo's a go. I think that's something I feel pretty confident in. Minus 115, again, adjusted just on a pick'em type site. More on 15.5. I'm pretty okay with that starting at the top of the tool.
The Pony Express was created today. Today's the anniversary, 1860 of the Pony Express.
You should ask EMAC what it was like on the inauguration day.
Well, he was one of the supervisors.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
Hello,
gamers. Yeah. Jump on your pony. We're going for a ride.
Look at that. I'm telling you, 1860 and EMAC was there. It's crazy. Crazy.
It's beautiful stuff.
You ever get something ridiculous? So when I moved to Nashville. I lived in Nashville for 2 years, right? 2.5 years. Awesome time down there. I worked in morning radio. It was just beautiful time.
Were you single? City.
Yes, absolutely.
Congratulations. That must have been fun.
And again, my day was done at 11 a.m. every day. So I would drag myself out to the golf course, smoke with the guy that I worked with, and we'd play golf and hack up a course and stuff, and I'd have the rest of the day, etc. But when I first got down there, I was working morning radio. I had to be up super early in the morning, and the easiest way for me to go to sleep would be to smoke weed and pass out. Well, I didn't have anything to smoke down there. I didn't know anybody down there. So I was like, shit, I need to be up at 3 a.m. I need to go to bed. I had a guy who mailed me something, right? And I got it, went to the post office, scared as shit and all, went down there, Pony Express style, right? Was on there. Next thing I know, like 2 weeks later, right? I had since met somebody and all this. I get a call from the post office saying, yeah, we got a package here for you, and it smells like someone. I was like, nope, not mine. Not my. The guy apparently like didn't put anything in it, or just put it up in like a sock and put it in a shoebox and sent it to the Nashville thing with 123 Fake Street on it. And I was like, nope, it's not mine. It's not mine. So for the rest of the day, I lived in a high rise. For the rest of the day, I was perched out of my window waiting for them to come for me. Nothing happened. Thank God.
That was a ride.
That's my Pony Express story.
Eytan Shander.
Apparently,
most interesting man at Stochastic.
There was a police officer that lived in the building that came home in the middle of his shift to grab something. So I thought that car down there at the bottom in the rotunda was there for me. Did you see that you can put plus 350 on anybody tonight? Or
what a segue.
300. I apologize. 300. Did you see that?
No, I did not.
You can put 300 odds on any golfer to win it all at Augusta.
So boost it plus 300?
Boost it.
Booster. I like boosters.
You can boost it. What do you say?
Let's party with some stuff.
All right. So
is that over at DK?
Yeah, it's on DK. All right. This is one of our promos to talk about. And that's it. Like, you can only boost one guy. Okay. So with that said, let's talk through this. All right. It's got to be to win it all. You can't top 20 this. You can't end around this. This has to be a guy that you need to boost. So it's
I always think
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's talk strategy for something like this. Please. When you're getting 300, you always want to kind of be looking at one of the shorter golfers on your board. Like, you want to look at some of the shorter odds guys, because like boosting somebody who's 7,500 to 7,800 doesn't do a whole hell of a lot for you.
All right. So let's start with this. Post office needs a warrant. Yeah, dude, I was 26, 27 years old. I had no fucking idea what was going on. I was sweating my ass off in Nashville, getting ready to be sent back to Philadelphia in a job that I just started. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. I thought you'd enjoy the fact that I was sweating there.
I do love it. I love that very much.
Seriously. I think you're right. Okay, so let's work on this. Let's work in reverse. I think a guy like right now, I would draw the line and say, let's go no deeper than someone like Collin Morikawa.
Yep, I agree.
Okay. So we're not going to go any more than Morikawa, who's at 25. I will say this because I saw this on the OddsShopper premium tool, more on the Putting for Dough channel, a show, pardon me, on the OddsShopper golf channel, where you can see that beautiful face of Eric Lindquist, as well as myself and Ben Raza. Look at that. But we talked about Morikawa because the tool yesterday had him at 2,900. So I know that he's already dipped. I'm going to stay away from him. But that's our range right now. Anywhere from Scotty all the way through Max Homa for me at this point. You've got a couple of angles here, right? You've got a guy in Max Homa who has been excellent. I think he's only had, 2 times where he's finished outside of the top 10.
He's playing awesome.
Yeah, amazing. You've got the big three at the top, but we may want to stay away from those guys just from a strategy standpoint.
Agreed.
Tony Finau, but he was 22-1 earlier, so he lost. I feel like adding 300 is just getting him to 100 back, although I love Tony Finau this week.
So do I. That was exactly who I was going to make a case for. The driver's been a little weird with him of late, where he hasn't been gaining in like a crazy amount at the Genesis, the players. But the big thing about the players is that there's water, and it can kind of drastically change what your perception of somebody's golf game is any given time when you have a high variance outcome like TPC Sawgrass is going to be. I think Tony Finau is by far the best bet on the board, sub 25-1. I have a very small play on Jordan Spieth, talked about that earlier, but Tony Finau is the guy I'm making a pretty strong stand with here. If you give me plus 300 to boost him to 23-1, it's better than the prevailing number of 22-1. Yeah, it's a bummer to miss out on something like that, but his irons have been outrageous for about the last 5 months. Going back to the Houston Open, gained 5.3. He has not gained less than 3 in any tournament besides the Century, where we finished 7th. And I really don't give a shit about the Century. There's 30 dudes out playing, just getting stuff ready for the PGA Tour season. Doesn't really matter to me. If he is positive whatsoever around the green, I don't see how he isn't competing in this field. There's going to be great live betting opportunities like there always are at the Masters. I think you got to just take that.
I'm with you. It makes sense. Absolutely. I brought up the odd shift just because I know from earlier doing the show that he dipped a little bit, but you're right. The 300 brings him back north of the initial starting point. Jason Day is out because I already got him at 33-1. So,
oh, wow. Look at you.
Caesars, brother. And again, that's the tool, the OddsShopper Premium, just to shop something like that. But the other guy that I'm curious to get your thoughts on, look, I don't think you're boosting 300. So there's not a wrong answer here. Max Homa, if you want to boost him to 28-1, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't have a problem with that. I'm interested to get your thoughts on a guy who has picked up as of recent. He's been completely removed from our field of vision because he's on the Live Tour, but it's impossible to ignore Dustin Johnson's comfort at Augusta. A guy now who a lot of people have just probably forgotten about, even though it's DJ at Augusta. You get him at 25-1. I don't hate that by any means.
Don't hate it at all. I think it's a pretty easy click if you want to go that direction. For me, I already have Spieth. I already have Finau. So I can't bet everybody that's going to be at these kind of shorter numbers, but he would have been probably my third click short of 25-1 if I had gone that direction. He probably has the demeanor to deal with crowds too. Like people from the Live Tour, I got to imagine, again, people are going to get kicked out of Augusta this week. I just get that impression. People are going to say stuff to some of the Live guys. They're going to feel like they can get away with it. They're going to have a couple of those crow's nest beers and walk around, and it's going to be an issue. So, you're going to see that happen over the course of the next couple of days. But DJ feels like the guy. His demeanor just never really changes. He's going to be unaffected. Brooks Koepka can run a little hot time to time, but I still think obviously he was going to be somebody that I liked coming into this week just as an outright bet. Now he's 35-1, so I can't even do that. So just give me DJ at 22. Yeah.
We got to talk about Tiger. There are some ridiculous Tiger specials out there on
my God.
I mean, these are astronomical, right? Like Tiger Woods hole-in-one on 12 is 180-1. And
that is such a terrible number.
Seriously, like it should be infinity to 1.
Yeah, it should be. So the like an average recreational golfer, I think it's something like 4,000-1 being hole-in-one odds. Tiger's obviously a lot better than your average golfer, but like, I mean, it should be north of 500-1.
Right, because you're still talking about Tiger, and it's still Augusta, and it's pro conditions. It's going to be wet. All of the things that factor in. Any bogey-free round for Tiger is plus 700.
Yep.
No part of that?
Nope.
Would you are you laying 200 for him to make the cut? I know he did at the Genesis. But
so you got to remember, there's only 93 people playing golf this week. So it's one of the easier cuts to make,
right?
Amongst the majors, just from a sheer numbers perspective. And most everybody outside of your Jose Murillo, Thobel, Sandy Lyles,
Larry Mize.
Your Larry Mize, Matthew McLean, one of the amateurs. Like, there's a lot of weird spots where these guys are just like on the outside already. So like you're gonna maybe get one from the back half of that group that ends up making a cut. Mike Weir could probably end up being that guy if you wanted to take a really long shot to make a cut. But like, it's such a small window to try to hit guys to make the cut. My favorite thing to do at the Masters is generally to try to find miscut numbers that you can inflate. Almost hit the Bryson DeChambeau one when he was the number one player in the world. I still lament that to this day. He birdied 18 to get in on the number and then lost to Bernard Longer playing with him over the weekend. It was just hilarious. But stuff like that is enjoyable to do. But otherwise, these Tiger props, minus 200, no thank you. As much as I love him, no chance.
Stay as far away from these as possible. I haven't seen the miscut ones. Have you? Are they up there yet?
No, I think we got to see what the weather draw is going to be. There's going to be a lot of weather that's affected. So we had a question, Andrew Jennison, can you explain the live betting strategy for the Masters quick? I would love to. So one of the things that's probably underutilized is just understanding the way that rain affects this golf course. They have subterranean stuff going on. There's also water on holes like 12, holes like 15, 16, 15, where it's far more prominent, that par 5. There are 4 and 5 shot swings in spots like that all the time. If you can find some short numbers on guys who bomb it going into a hole like 15 that can make up ground quickly and maybe get you a top 10 number, that's a great opportunity to jump in before they play 15. And then there's also the opportunity to find leaders that, Scotty Scheffler was just immune to everything, but there have been great opportunities to short guys like Sergio who end up making 7 on 15 and knock themselves out of contention. So be paying attention to the top 10 market, not just outrights.
Yeah, I would look long and hard. If Rory is noticeably playing okay, but not scoring, right? And you as a professional know the difference, right? Of you can play great, but you're not scoring. Correct. I think if Rory is somewhere in that middle pack and he's just not scoring, that's a live bet. I think you can definitely jump on for someone like McIlroy. And I'd add to you, we have him. I don't know if you remember this, right? But we have Hovland at 46-1. The rain, it's going to rain. We know it's going to rain.
Yep.
You now have an advantage if you can pound this ball off the tee versus maybe struggling as we see a guy like Hovland around the green or on that bent grass. So now all of a sudden that could open something up, but you're right. Like, we have to see what's happening here. We got to get out of here with some home runs, man. All right.
Let's do it.
We got to give some people what they want and go yard.
Pittsburgh plus 1.5.
Go ahead. Who'd you have?
Pittsburgh plus 1.5 against Cutter Crawford.
What book are we on? Do we know?
Any of them. It's generally minus 130 has been the prevailing number. Now it's minus 145. Holy shit. That's changed a lot between yesterday and today. I have a minus 130 ticket on that. My God.
We have to go with what it is now, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, okay. Then I'm going to go Kansas City money line.
Oh, wow. Why not do that? Why
Kansas City greedy? Why get greedy? Because I want to. And Jose Barrios is going to die today. So there's that. Plus 110, I believe, is the primary number.
Yep, that's fine. That's fine. All right. Well, now I feel like I have to balance out your insanity.
My insanity, it's 20 cents underneath standard juice. Like, come on, stop it.
Who was that, by the way? Who was the stop the insanity person? Do you remember? Stop the insanity.
No, I don't want to know.
You don't remember that?
I don't.
That and Crazy Eddie. All right. I'm going to give you... I bet it, and I gave it on the Discord, so I'll just go reverse a little bit. Nashville on the puck line, plus 1.5.
Oof.
Reds are a good hockey team. They need this. I actually have them winning, but for the purposes of the parlay at minus 144, I'll even that out a little bit and give you the puck. Very rarely play puck lines except dogs and parlays. I like Nashville to win outright. I'll take them on the puck line for some sense of safety.
Love it.
All right.
Love it, my dude.
2 home run plays from you before we get out of here.
O'Neal Cruz.
Salvador Perez.
Love it.
Really?
I said O'Neal Cruz. I was going to go MJ Melendez as well, but you can go Sal.
Too? Because
I said Sal Perez is beautiful.
Okay, because I had him on the 5-5 this morning, so I wanted to get your thoughts on it, see if I made a right play or not. You tell me otherwise.
I like it. I already made it known that I like Rizzo, so I wanted to give two other ones that I've been staring directly at.
One more time for the people.
O'Neal Cruz, Pittsburgh Pirates, going yard on Cutter Crawford. MJ Melendez, Kansas City, going yard on Jose Barrios. Even though Jose Barrios, I have to say, part of what makes it difficult is he doesn't generally just get... It's like he'll walk some guys, he won't miss bats. It'll just be a train that gets ran over him more so than like him giving up the long ball, but doesn't look too bad in Kansas City today. Hitting conditions were better there over the weekend than they are today, but still decent enough. I'll go MJ Melendez.
At Eric Lindquist, at Shander Show. That's how you follow us. That's how you get down with us on Twitter. Thanks to Mike, as always, for producing, for making this thing happen. Thank him, of course, in the chat. And hit the thumbs up button and subscribe on your way out. We'll see you later this week. NBA's back.
Let's go.